I thought my story was over. 3 years a widow. 3 years of empty rooms and silent mornings. One Thursday morning, I walked through a door and discovered that sometimes the best love stories are the ones we never saw coming. My name is Eleanor Hayes, and I'm 67 years old. For 3 years, I've been a widow. For 3 years, I've been going through the motions of livings without actually feeling alive. The morning it all changed started like any other Thursday. I woke up at 6:30 a.m. force of habit. From 40 years of marriage to a man who believed sleeping past sunrise was a sin. I made coffee for one, toast for one, and sat at a kitchen table that felt far too large. The house in Riverside, Connecticut was quiet. Too quiet. My daughter Jessica had called the night before. Mom, you need to get out more. Join something. Do something. Dad wouldn't want you sitting alone in that house. She meant well. Jessica always means well. But there's something uniquely painful about your own child, treating you like a project that needs fixing. So that morning, I did something impulsive. I grabbed the community center flyer that had been sitting on my counter for 2 weeks and actually read it. Senior cooking classes, learn new recipes, make new friends. Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. I almost threw it away. I'd been cooking for decades. What could I possibly learn? But then I looked around my kitchen at the single coffee cup, the half-empty cereal box, and I thought, what do I have to lose? The Riverside Community Center was a cheerful building that I'd driven past 1,000 times but never entered. Inside, it smelled like coffee and floor polish and something baking. A young woman at the front desk smiled brightly when I approached. Good morning. Are you here for the cooking class? I think so. Is it too late to join? Not at all. Just head down that hallway, last door on the right. The classroom had 6 cooking stations and about 15 people milling around. Most were women around my age, chatting in small groups. I felt suddenly self-conscious. When had I become so uncertain about everything? Welcome, welcome! A jovial man with a thick Italian accent approached me. I'm Chef Roberto. First time? Yes. Eleanor Hayes. Bellissima! Today we make risotto. Come, come! I put you here. He led me to a station near the window. Your partner. He should be here soon. Always a little late, that one. Partner? Jessica hadn't mentioned anything about partners. Before I could ask, the door opened and a man walked in. He was tall, maybe 6 feet, with gray hair that had once been dark, wearing jeans and a flannel shirt. His face was weathered in that way. That speaks of a life spent outdoors, with smile lines around his eyes. Frankie, there you are, Chef Roberto called out. Come, come. I have new partner for you. Eleanor, this is Frank Morrison. Frank extended his hand. His grip was firm but gentle. Nice to meet you, Eleanor. Sorry, I'm late. Traffic on the Merritt was backed up. No problem, I said, surprised at how nervous I felt. As Chef Roberto launched into his demonstration about risotto, Frank and I stood side by side at our station. He had a notebook and was actually taking notes. You really write all this down? I asked quietly. He smiled sheepishly. Memory's not what it used to be. Plus, I'm cooking for my son and his family every Sunday now. That's nice. They live nearby? About 20 minutes away in Stamford. You have family around here? A daughter in Darien. Jessica. She's the one who convinced me to come here. Same story here. My son Michael practically registered me himself. Said I needed to do something besides watch the History Channel. I found myself smiling. Apparently, sitting alone in our houses is concerning to them. Apparently. His eyes crinkled when he smiled. They were a warm brown, genuinely interested. We fell into an easy rhythm. I heated the stock while Frank sautéed the onions. His knife skills were terrible. His onions were chopped in wildly uneven pieces, ranging from chunks to near powder. Well, they'll taste the same regardless of size, right? He said, surveying his work. Absolutely, I said, and meant it. As we worked, we talked easily. Frank told me about being a firefighter for 35 years with the Riverside Fire Department. I told him about my 28 years as head of the children's section at Riverside Public Library. No kidding? Frank's face lit up. My Michael loved that library when he was little. There was a librarian who did story time with amazing voices used to do Where the Wild Things Are with monster impressions. I felt warmth spread through my chest. That was me. That was my favorite book to read. Seriously, Michael talked about you for years. He's a high school English teacher now because of people like you. That's wonderful. It's always nice to know you made a difference. The risotto came together beautifully creamy. Perfect. As we ate our creation at one of the tables, conversation flowed naturally. I haven't cooked anything this nice in years, I admitted. Since before my husband got sick, really. After that, it was just easier things. Frank nodded, understanding in his eyes. Carol died 4 years ago. Cancer. For a while after, I barely cooked at all. Lots of takeout, frozen dinners. Michael finally staged an intervention. How did you get through it? I asked quietly. The first year? He was silent for a moment. Honestly, I didn't think I would. But then Emma was born, and Michael needed help, and life keeps pulling you forward, even when you don't want to move. Yes, I whispered. Exactly that. Around us, people were exchanging phone numbers, making plans. The community Jessica had been pushing me toward it was actually here, real and warm. So, Frank said as we cleaned our station, will you be back next week? Chef Roberto said we're making coq au vin. I think I will. Good. He smiled. It's nice to have a partner who knows what she's doing. Before we left, Frank pulled out his phone. Would it be okay if I got your number? Just in case. You know, I need advice on risotto between now and next Thursday. My heart did a strange little flutter. Of course. I walked out into the bright October afternoon, feeling lighter than I had in years. In my purse, my phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. How was it? Did you go? I smiled and typed back, it was nice. Made risotto. Met some interesting people. What I didn't tell her was that for the first time since her father died, I was actually looking forward to next week. The week passed differently than the previous 3 years had passed. Instead of days blurring together, I found myself counting down to Thursday. I caught myself thinking about the cooking class at Audi, moments while doing laundry, while watching the evening news. On Tuesday, my phone chimed with a text. Hi, Eleanor, it's Frank from cooking class. Quick question my grandson asked me to make risotto for dinner on Sunday. Is it crazy to attempt it without Chef Roberto supervising? I smiled and texted back, not crazy at all. Just remember to stir constantly and be patient. That's very zen. Carol used to say I didn't have a patient bone in my body. This should be interesting. Over the next few days, we exchanged several texts. It was casual, friendly, completely innocent. Yet I found myself checking my phone more often, smiling at his messages. Success! Risotto was a hit. Lucas ate 2 bowls. Thank you for the coaching. Wednesday evening, Jessica came over for dinner. She did this every week, her way of checking on me, without making it seem like a welfare visit. So, Mom, she said in that casual tone. That meant the question wasn't casual at all. How was the cooking class last week? It was good. We made risotto. And Did you meet anyone interesting? I kept my voice neutral. Several people. There's a woman named Dorothy who used to teach home economics. And my cooking partner, Frank, is a retired firefighter. Jessica's eyes lit up. Frank, you had a male cooking partner? Yes, Jessica. Men do cook. I know that. That's great, Mom. Are you going back this week? I am. Good. I'm glad you're getting out there. Dad would be happy to see you making friends. Friends. Yes, that's what Frank was. A friend. That's all it could be. I'd had my great love, my marriage, my lifetime partnership. That chapter was closed, wasn't it? Thursday morning, I spent an embarrassing amount of time choosing what to wear. I finally settled on a soft blue sweater and dark slacks. Nice, but not like I was trying too hard. Frank was already at our station when I arrived, looking nervous. Hey, he said, smiling when he saw me. Guess what? I practiced. Made risotto twice this week. Twice? You're becoming an expert. Well, I had a good teacher. He gestured to the ingredients. Today's coq au vin. I've never made anything French before. We'll figure it out together. And we did. Over the next 2 hours, we worked side by side, following Chef Roberto's instructions, laughing at ourselves, transforming chicken and wine into something that actually looked and smelled like coq au vin. We talked more easily this week. Frank told me about his years as a firefighter, the camaraderie, the fear, the satisfaction of helping people. I told him about my favorite books, about the children I'd read to over the years. What made you become a librarian? He asked as we waited for the chicken to braise. My mother was very controlling. She had opinions about everything what I should wear, who I should marry. The library was the one place where I could escape. When I grew up, I wanted to give other kids that same escape. Did you? Escape from your mother's control. I thought about that. Eventually, when I married Robert, she wasn't thrilled he was a high school guidance counselor, not a doctor or lawyer like she'd hoped. But he was kind and good, and we built a life that was ours. That's what matters, Frank said. Building something that's yours. After class, as we were cleaning up, Frank hesitated. Eleanor, I know this might be forward, but would you want to get coffee sometime, outside of class? There's a good place in town, the Daily Grind. Just as friends. My heart raced. But when I looked at his face, hopeful but uncertain, I found myself nodding. I'd like that. Really? Great. How about Saturday morning, 10 o'clock? 10 o'clock sounds perfect. Saturday morning arrived crisp and clear. I changed outfits 3 times before settling on casual pants and a comfortable sweater. It's just coffee, I kept telling myself. The Daily Grind was cozy with exposed brick walls and the rich smell of freshly roasted coffee. Frank was already there, 2 cups in front of him. I hope you like lattes, he said as I sat down. I should have asked first. Lattes are perfect. We settled into easy conversation. Without the structure of class, our talk wandered freely from childhood memories to favorite movies to our thoughts on modern technology. He told me about Carol, how they'd met at a community dance when they were 22, how she'd made him wait 3 months before agreeing to go out with him. The last year was hard, he said quietly. Sometimes I feel guilty that part of me was relieved when she passed, not because I wanted her gone, but because I wanted her suffering to end. That's not guilt you should carry, I said, reaching across the table to touch his hand. That's love. He turned his hand over, giving mine a gentle squeeze before letting go. What about Robert? Heart disease. 3 heart attacks over 5 years. Each one took a little more of him. By the end, we were both so tired. The grief actually started before he died, grieving the life we'd planned but wouldn't get to have. That's the thing nobody tells you, Frank said. That grief isn't just one thing. It's layers. Yes, exactly that. We talked for 2 hours. When we finally left, Frank walked me to my car. This was really nice, he said. Maybe we could do it again sometime? I'd like that. Over the next few weeks, Thursday cooking classes became the highlight of my week, with coffee at the daily grind becoming a Saturday morning tradition. Frank and I were decidedly just friends, but there was an ease between us that I hadn't felt in years. Then, on a Thursday in early November, everything shifted. We were making beef bourguignon when my phone rang. Jessica's name flashed on the screen. I should take this, I whispered to Frank. She only calls during class if it's important. I stepped into the hallway. Jess, what's wrong? Mom, it's Madison. She's fine, but we're at the hospital. She fell at school. They think her arm might be broken. Kyle's out of town and can you come? Of course. Which hospital? Stamford. The emergency room. I'll be there in 20 minutes. I rushed back into the classroom. Frank looked up immediately, reading the concern on my face. What's wrong? My granddaughter hospital. I have to go. Say no more. Frank was already untying his apron. I'll drive you. You're too shaken up. You don't have to. Eleanor. His voice was firm but gentle. Let me help. In the car, I explained the situation, my hands trembling. Frank drove with calm competence, keeping me distracted with gentle conversation. Kids are resilient, he said. Emma broke her collarbone last year. Scared us all to death. But she was back to normal in weeks. At the hospital, Frank walked me to the emergency room, staying by my side until we found Jessica and Madison. My granddaughter was sitting up on a gurney, tear-streaked but brave, her arm in a temporary splint. Grammy! She reached for me with her good arm. I hugged her carefully. Oh, sweetie, you gave us quite a scare. Jessica was pale, her hands shaking. They're waiting for X-ray results. That's when Jessica noticed Frank, standing a respectful distance away. Mom, who's that? That's Frank, from my cooking class. He drove me here. Jessica's eyebrows rose, but before she could say anything, the doctor arrived. Madison had a clean break, painful but straightforward. They'd cast it today, and she'd be good as new in 6 weeks. As the doctor explained care instructions, I glanced back at Frank. He caught my eye and gave a thumbs up before quietly slipping out. An hour later, Madison was casted in purple and ready to go home. As Jessica gathered their things, she pulled me aside. Mom, that man Frankie seems really nice. He is nice. We're friends. Friends. Jessica studied my face. Mom, when was the last time one of your friends drove you to the hospital without hesitation? Jessica, I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying. Maybe he's a good friend to have. After I saw them home, I texted Frank, thank you for today. Madison is fine. I don't know what I would have done without your help. His response came quickly, glad she's okay. You would have been fine, you're stronger than you think. But I'm glad I could be there. That night, lying in bed, I thought about his words. Stronger than I think? For 3 years I'd felt fragile, broken. But today, in crisis, I'd been there for my family. I'd accepted help when offered. I'd moved forward. Maybe I was stronger than I thought. And maybe, just maybe, I was ready for whatever came next. If you're finding the story compelling, please hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Your support helps us share more important stories like this one. Now, let's continue with what happened next. The week after Madison's accident, something shifted between Frank and me. We texted more frequently, not just about recipes, but about our days, our thoughts, our lives. The line between acquaintances and friends had blurred, and I found myself looking forward to his messages almost as much as our Thursday classes. "How's Madison doing?" he'd text. "She's a trooper, already figuring out how to do everything one-handed. How's your week?" "Long. Had to explain to Lucas why he can't adopt the raccoon that's been getting into our trash. Apparently, because they're wild animals isn't a satisfactory reason when you're 5. These small exchanges made me smile in ways I hadn't smiled in years. Jessica noticed. Of course she noticed. She came over for our weekly Wednesday dinner, bringing a store-bought rotisserie chicken her way of making sure I ate properly. "So," she said as we set the table, "you've been texting a lot lately. I saw your phone light up 3 times just driving over here. It's probably just spam calls." "Mom!" She gave me that look, the one that said she'd inherited her father's ability to see through my deflections. "Who's Frank?" I busied myself with the salad. "I told you. He's from cooking class. A friend from cooking class who drives you to hospitals and texts you multiple times a day. We're friends, Jessica." "Just friends. We enjoy talking to each other." She was quiet for a moment, and when I looked up, her expression had softened. "Mom, I think it's wonderful." "You do?" "Yes. Dad's been gone 3 years. I hate seeing you lonely. If this Frank makes you happy." "It's not like that," I interrupted. "We're not. It's not romantic. We're just two people who enjoy each other's company." Jessica smiled in that knowing way that made her look exactly like her father. "Okay, Mom, if you say so." But her words stayed with me. Was it romantic? Frank and I hadn't done anything that could be called a date, just coffee, just conversations. Yet there was something there, wasn't there? A warmth, a connection, a possibility that both thrilled and terrified me. Thursday's cooking class was pasta carbonara. Frank arrived with his usual enthusiasm, though I noticed he seemed slightly nervous. "Everything okay?" I asked as we gathered our ingredients. "Yeah, just Michael's been asking about you. About us. He wants to meet you." "Meet me." "I might have mentioned you a few times. More than a few times. He thinks you're important to me." My heart raced. "Am I important to you?" Frank looked at me directly, his brown eyes serious. "Yes, Eleanor, you are." Before I could respond, Chef Roberto clapped his hands. "Attention, everyone! Today we learn the secret of perfect carbonara." The class passed in a blur. Frank and I worked together with practiced ease, but there was a new awareness between us. Every time our hands brushed, every shared smile felt charged with meaning. After class, as we sat eating our carbonara, Frank cleared his throat. "So, about Michael. He's having a family dinner on Sunday. He asked if you'd like to come. No pressure, I know meeting the family is a big step. But I'd really like you to be there. A big step." He'd said it himself. This wasn't just friends having coffee anymore. "Frank, I need to be honest with you. I'm not sure what this is what we are. I haven't thought about dating since Robert died. I'm not even sure I know how anymore." "Neither do I," he admitted. "Carol was my whole world for 40 years. After she died, I thought that part of my life was over. But then I met you and Eleanor, I don't know what this is either. But I know I'm happier when I'm with you. I know I look forward to Thursdays all week. I know that when something funny happens, you're the first person I want to tell." His words echoed exactly what I'd been feeling, but was too afraid to name. "I'd like to meet Michael," I said quietly. "And your grandchildren." Frank's face lit up. "Really? Really? But Frank, we need to take this slowly. I need to take this slowly. Slowly is perfect. He reached across the table and took my hand. We've got nothing but time. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. What was I doing? Was I ready for this? As if summoning her with my thoughts, my phone rang. Jessica. Mom, I need to talk to you about something. Her tone made my stomach clench. What's wrong? I ran into Dorothy from your cooking class today. She mentioned she's seen you there with some man. That you two seem very close. There it was. The small-town gossip I'd been dreading. Dorothy's in the class, yes. And yes, I have a cooking partner named Frank. We're friends. Mom! Jessica's voice was tight. Is it more than that? Would it matter if it was? Silence on the other end. Then, I just don't want you to rush into anything. People will talk. They'll think you didn't love Dad enough, that you've moved on too quickly. Jessica, I kept my voice calm, though anger was building. Your father has been gone for 3 years. How long am I supposed to wait before I'm allowed to have a life again? I'm not saying you can't have a life. I'm just saying you need to be careful. What do you even know about this Frank person? What's his financial situation? What does that have to do with anything? Everything! Mom, you have Dad's life insurance, the house, his pension. There are men who target widows. Stop! I sat up in bed. Frank is not targeting me. He's a retired firefighter with his own pension and his own home. We enjoy each other's company. That's all. That's all for now. But Mom, if you get serious with someone, it affects your finances, your estate, Madison's inheritance. Madison's inheritance? Jessica, is that what this is really about? No, I'm trying to protect you. I don't need protection. I need support. I need you to trust that I can make my own decisions. Jessica was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was smaller. I'm scared, Mom. I'm scared of losing you too. The anger drained out of me. Oh, honey, you're not losing me. Whether I have coffee with Frank or not, I'm still your mother. That doesn't change. But everything else does. First Dad died, then you started going out more. And now there's this man. And I feel like my whole family is disappearing. No, sweetheart. Your family is growing. That's what families do. After we hung up, I couldn't sleep. Jessica's concerns weren't entirely unfounded. We did live in a small town where people talked. And yes, there were practical considerations. But I was 67 years old. If not now, when? If not Frank, who made me laugh and feel alive again, then who? Sunday arrived cold and bright. I changed clothes 4 times before settling on nice slacks and a cashmere sweater. Frank picked me up at 2 o'clock, looking nervous himself in khakis and a button-down shirt. Ready? He asked. Terrified, I admitted, but ready. Michael and his wife Sarah lived in a comfortable colonial in Stamford. The house was warm and welcoming, with children's artwork on the fridge and the pleasant chaos that comes with young kids. Emma and Lucas ran to the door when we arrived, immediately latching onto Frank's legs. Grandpa, we made cookies. Did you? Frank scooped Lucas up. This must be a special occasion. He turned to me. Kids, I want you to meet someone very special. This is Miss Eleanor. Emma, 7 years old with Frank's brown eyes, studied me seriously. Are you Grandpa's girlfriend? Emma! Sarah appeared, flushed with embarrassment. I'm so sorry. It's fine, I said, kneeling down to Emma's level. Your grandpa and I are very good friends. We like cooking together and talking about books. I like books, Emma said, warming up. Do you know the story about the girl who falls down the rabbit hole? Alice in Wonderland? That's one of my favorites. Really? Can you read it with me after dinner? I'd love to. Michael appeared next hall like his father, with an open, friendly face. He extended his hand. It's wonderful to finally meet you, Eleanor. Dad hasn't stopped talking about you. Michael, Frank said, his ears reddening. It's true. Eleanor said this. Eleanor thinks that. We've heard more about you than we heard about his fantasy football league. Sarah swatted her husband's arm. Come on, let's get everyone inside. Dinner's almost ready. The afternoon passed in a warm blur. Dinner was pot roast with vegetables comfort food that filled the house with welcoming smells. The conversation flowed easily, with Michael and Sarah asking about my years at the library and sharing stories about their teaching careers. After dinner, I sat with Emma in the living room reading Alice in Wonderland while Lucas built elaborate structures with blocks nearby. Frank sat on the couch, watching us with a soft expression I couldn't quite read. You're good with them, Michael said quietly, sitting beside his father. She's good with everyone, Frank replied. Always has been. As evening approached and it was time to leave, Emma hugged me tightly. Will you come back, please? If your grandpa invites me, I'd love to. In the car on the way home, Frank was quiet. Finally, he said, they loved you. Emma never warms up to people that quickly. They're wonderful kids. You should be proud. I am. He paused. Eleanor, I know we said we'd take things slowly, and we will. But I need you to know this isn't casual for me. What I feel for you. It's real. My breath caught. It's real for me too. And that terrifies me. Me too. He reached over and took my hand. But maybe being terrified together is better than being safe and alone. Maybe it is, I whispered. That night, I called Jessica. Mom, is everything okay? Everything's fine. I just wanted you to know I had dinner with Frank's family today. Met his son and grandchildren. Silence. Then, oh, Jessica, I'm not replacing your father. I could never do that. But Frank makes me happy. He makes me feel alive again. And I think Dad would understand that. He would, Jessica said quietly. He told me, before he died, he made me promise I'd make sure you didn't shut yourself away. He said you had too much love to give to spend the rest of your life alone. Tears streamed down my face. He said that? He did. I'm sorry, Mom. I've been so focused on protecting you that I forgot I was supposed to be supporting you. If Frank makes you happy, then I'm happy for you. Thank you, sweetheart. That means everything. After we hung up, I sat in the quiet house. But this time, the quiet didn't feel empty. It felt peaceful, full of possibility. My phone chimed with a text from Frank. Thank you for today. You fit into my family, like you've always been there. Sleep well. I smiled and texted back. Thank you for including me. Today was special. As I got ready for bed, I looked at the photo of Robert on my nightstand. I'd been so afraid that moving forward meant leaving him behind. But maybe it didn't. Maybe carrying his love with me while opening my heart to new love wasn't betrayal. It was honoring the life he'd wanted me to have. Thank you, I whispered to his photo, for everything, for loving me enough to want me to be happy, even after you were gone. In the darkness, I could almost hear his reply. That's what love is, Ellie. Wanting the other person's happiness, no matter what. I fell asleep with a smile on my face, looking forward to whatever tomorrow would bring. Winter arrived early that year, bringing with it complications I hadn't anticipated. Frank and I had settled into a comfortable rhythm: Thursday cooking classes, Saturday coffee dates, occasional dinners at the Riverside Bistro. We held hands now, kissed goodnight on my doorstep, talked on the phone every evening before bed. I was happy, happier than I'd been in years. Then Frank got sick. It started as a persistent cough during our Thursday class in mid-December. We were making beef Wellington, an ambitious project that required focus and precision. You okay? I asked, as Frank coughed into his elbow for the third time in 10 minutes. Fine, just a tickle in my throat. But his face was flushed, and I could see sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool kitchen. By the time class ended, Frank could barely stand. I drove him home, helped him inside his small ranch house in Riverside, and insisted on staying until his son arrived. Eleanor, you don't have to, he started, but another coughing fit cut him off. Hush! I'm staying. Michael arrived within the hour, his face tight with worry. Dad, how long have you been feeling like this? Just today. It's nothing. It's not nothing, I said firmly. He needs to see a doctor. Michael shot me a grateful look. She's right, Dad. Come on, I'm taking you to urgent care. The diagnosis was pneumonia. At 70 years old, with a history of smoking in his younger years, Frank's lungs were vulnerable. The doctor admitted him to the hospital for IV antibiotics and monitoring. I spent the next 3 days at Riverside General, sitting in the uncomfortable chair beside Frank's bed. Michael and Sarah came when they could, but they had the kids and their jobs. I was retired with nothing but time. You don't have to be here, Frank said on the second day, his voice raspy from the oxygen tube. You've got better things to do. There's nowhere else I'd rather be, I replied, squeezing his hand. On the third day, Jessica showed up. I'd texted her updates but hadn't expected her to visit. She stood in the doorway, looking uncertain. Mom, I brought you some clothes. And food. Michael said you've barely left. Thank you, honey. I stood and hugged her, suddenly realizing how exhausted I was. Jessica glanced at Frank, who was sleeping. He looks rough. He's getting better. The antibiotics are working. Mom, can we talk outside? In the hallway, Jessica crossed her arms, a defensive posture I recognized from her teenage years. Mom, I'm worried about you. I'm fine. Just tired. That's not what I mean. You're getting in deep with this man. What if something happens to him? What if... She stopped, struggling with her words. What if he dies, like Dad did? She nodded, tears in her eyes. I can't watch you go through that again. It almost destroyed you last time. I took her hands. Jessica, look at me. Yes, I might lose Frank someday. He might lose me. That's life. But you know what? These past few months with him have been worth the risk. I'd rather have this real love, real connection for whatever time we get than spend the rest of my life safe and alone. But what if it's not enough time? It never is, sweetheart. Your dad and I had 40 years, and it still wasn't enough. But I wouldn't trade a single day of it, even knowing how it ended. That's what real love is worth, the pain of losing it. Jessica wiped her eyes. When did you get so brave? When I realized I was more afraid of not living than of getting hurt. Frank came home 4 days later, weak but on the mend. I appointed myself his temporary caretaker, showing up each morning with soup, ensuring he took his medications, reading to him while he rested. You're going to get sick of me, he joked one afternoon as I fluffed his pillows for the third time. Impossible, I said. Besides, you took care of people your whole career. Let someone take care of you for once. One evening, as I was preparing to leave, Frank caught my hand. Eleanor, sit down. I need to tell you something. His serious tone made my heart race. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. But this whole experience being sick, realizing I could have died, it's made me think about things. About us! I held my breath. I know we said we'd take it slow. I know we're being careful. But Eleanor, I'm 70 years old. I don't have time to waste being careful anymore. He squeezed my hand. I love you. I'm in love with you. Have been probably since that first cooking class when you saved my terrible onions. Tears sprang to my eyes. Frank, you don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. Life's too short to keep feelings like that to myself. I love you too, I whispered. I've been so afraid to say it. Afraid it meant I was forgetting Robert. But I've realized, my voice broke, I've realized that love doesn't run out. The heart doesn't have a limit. Loving you doesn't diminish what I had with Robert. It just means I'm lucky enough to have loved twice in one lifetime. Frank pulled me close, and I buried my face in his shoulder, crying tears of relief and joy and lingering grief all mixed together. Stay, he murmured. Don't go home tonight. Just stay here with me. I pulled back to look at him. Frank Morrison, are you propositioning me? He laughed, though it turned into a cough. I'm asking you to sleep in my guest room, so I don't have to worry about you driving home tired. Get your mind out of the gutter. I laughed too, the tension breaking. The guest room? For now. We've got time to figure out the rest. That night, I lay in Frank's guest room, listening to him breathing steadily down the hall. The house was different from mine, smaller, cozier, filled with photos of Michael and the grandkids. But it felt like home anyway. My phone buzzed with a text from Jessica, just checking in. Everything okay? Everything's wonderful, I typed back. Frank's much better. I'm staying in the guest room tonight to keep an eye on him. The guest room, huh? Hush, you. I'm happy for you, Mom. Really? Love you. Love you too. Christmas approached. Frank was back to full health, and we decided to spend Christmas Eve with his family and Christmas Day with mine. It felt momentous, somehow officially blending our families, stepping into a shared future. On Christmas Eve, Michael's house was transformed into a winter wonderland. Emma and Lucas had decorated every surface, and the tree sparkled with lights and homemade ornaments. Miss Eleanor! Emma ran up and grabbed my hand. Come see, I made you an ornament. She led me to the tree and pointed to a construction paper creation with Grandpa's special friend, written in careful letters, decorated with glitter and stickers. It's beautiful, I said, my throat tight. Next year, maybe I can write Grandma? Emma said matter-of-factly. If that's okay. I looked at Frank, who was watching us with shining eyes. That would be more than okay. Christmas Day at Jessica's house in Darien was more formal, but no less warm. Madison had insisted on setting a place for Frank at the table, and Kyle, Jessica's husband, whom I'd barely mentioned in my story, but who was steady and kind, made Frank feel welcome immediately by engaging him in a detailed discussion about classic cars. He's good for you, Mom, Jessica whispered as we cleared dishes after dinner. I can see it. You're different. Lighter. I feel lighter, I admitted, like I've been holding my breath for 3 years and can finally exhale. That evening, as Frank walked me to my car, he pulled a small box from his pocket. This isn't what you think it is, he said quickly, seeing my eyes widen. Or maybe it is. I don't know. I'm terrible at this. Frank, you're rambling. I know, I'm nervous. He opened the box to reveal a delicate silver bracelet with a small charm, 2 intertwined hearts. It's a promise. Not an engagement, not yet, but a promise that I'm serious about us, about our future. Whatever that looks like, however fast or slow you want to go, I'm in this, Eleanor. All the way. I took the bracelet with trembling hands. Help me put it on? He fastened it around my wrist. his fingers gentle. The charm caught the light from the Christmas decorations still glowing in Jessica's windows. "It's perfect," I said. "You're perfect." "I'm really not. I'm stubborn and forgetful, and I leave my socks everywhere." I kissed him, cutting off his self-deprecation. When we pulled apart, we were both smiling. "Frank Morrison, I'm in this too. All the way." As I drove home that night, the bracelet warm against my wrist, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. From that first nervous morning at the community center to this moment, driving home from Christmas with my blended family, wearing a promise from a man I never expected to find. Life, I was learning, doesn't end when we think it does. Sometimes it just pauses, catching its breath, before beginning a whole new chapter we never saw coming. And sometimes, if we're very lucky, those unexpected chapters are the most beautiful ones of all. The new year brought unexpected challenges. In January, my house started having problems. The furnace died, then the water heater. Then we discovered the roof needed replacing. The repair estimates were staggering. "The roof alone is $15,000. I told Frank over coffee one Saturday. "And that's if we don't find any additional damage once they start working." "What are you going to do?" "Use the emergency fund, I guess. Though it'll wipe out most of my savings." I stirred my latte absently. "Jessica thinks I should sell the house. Says it's too big for one person anyway, that the maintenance is only going to get more expensive." "She might have a point," Frank said carefully. 5 bedrooms for one person is a lot of house. But it's my house. Robert and I bought it when Jessica was 3. We raised her there, celebrated every holiday there. He died in that house, Frank. How do I just walk away from all those memories? You don't walk away from memories, Eleanor. You carry them with you. He reached across the table and took my hand. But I understand. It's not an easy decision. That night, I walked through my empty house, really seeing it for the first time in years. Jessica's childhood bedroom, frozen in time with her high school trophies and prom photos. The master bedroom where Robert and I had slept for decades. The kitchen where we'd cooked thousands of meals together. But I also saw the steep stairs that were getting harder to climb. The yard I could barely maintain. The empty rooms I never used. The house had gone from a home full of life to a museum of memories. Maybe Jessica was right. Maybe it was time. The next week I met with a realtor. The housing market was strong, she assured me. A house like mine in Riverside would sell quickly, probably above asking price. "Have you thought about where you'd move?" she asked. I hadn't. Not really. There were senior living communities in the area, nice ones with activities and social opportunities. Or I could find a smaller house, a condo maybe, something manageable. Or the thought came unbidden I could move in with Frank. I dismissed it immediately. Too fast, too much, too complicated. We'd only been together a few months. People would talk. Jessica would worry. But the thought kept returning. That Thursday at cooking class, we were making homemade pasta, a labor-intensive process that required teamwork and patience. As Frank and I worked the dough together, our movements synchronized after months of practice, I found myself imagining doing this in a shared kitchen, not as a visitor, but as a partner, a permanent one. "Penny for your thoughts," Frank said, noticing my distraction. "Just thinking about the house. The realtor wants to list it next week." "That fast?" "She says spring is the best time to sell. We should capitalize on it." Frank was quiet for a moment, focusing on rolling out the pasta dough. "Then, where will you go?" "I don't know. Somewhere smaller, more practical." "Eleanor." He stopped rolling and looked at me directly. "I have an idea." And you can say no, I'll understand completely. But hear me out. My heart started racing. My house is paid off. 3 bedrooms, 1 floor, manageable yard. It's got room for both of us, and still space for when the kids visit. If you wanted, we could live together. Make it ours. Frank, I know it's fast. I know people will talk. But we're not kids anymore, Eleanor. We don't have time to waste doing things the proper way. If this is what you want, if being together is what we both want, why should we live in separate houses? I stared at him, my mind racing. Live together. Share a home. Wake up next to him every morning. Fall asleep beside him every night. What about Jessica? I asked. What about Michael? What will they think? Michael already suggested it, actually. Said I'd be stupid to let you go through all this alone when we could just combine households. He smiled. Said Carol would approve, that she'd want me to be happy. And Jessica? That's your call. But Eleanor, your daughter loves you. She wants you to be happy too. I think she'll understand. I thought about it all week. The practical benefits were undeniable: splitting housing costs, having companionship, not being alone. But it was more than that. I wanted to wake up next to Frank. I wanted to cook dinner together every night, not just on Thursdays. I wanted a life with him, not just stolen moments between our separate existences. Finally, I called Jessica and asked her to come over. We needed to talk. She arrived that evening, looking worried. Mom? What's wrong? You sounded serious on the phone. Nothing's wrong. Sit down, honey. We settled on the couch, and I took a deep breath. The realtor wants to list the house next week. I've decided to sell. Oh, Mom. Jessica squeezed my hand. I know that can't be easy. It's not. But it's the right decision. This house is too much for me now. I paused. But there's something else. Frank and I were thinking about moving in together. Into his house. Jessica's eyes widened. Moving in together? Mom, that's big. I know. And I understand if you have concerns. But Jessica, I love him. I want to build a life with him, whatever time we have left. Living in separate houses just feels like wasting precious time. Jessica was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked, Are you happy? Really happy? Yes. Happier than I've been in years. Then I support you. She smiled, though tears shimmered in her eyes. It's weird watching my mom essentially move in with her boyfriend, but you're an adult, and you deserve to make your own choices. If Frank makes you happy, then I'm happy for you. We hugged, and I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. Although, Jessica added, pulling back with a mischievous grin, Madison's going to have so many questions. She's 12. The idea of her grandmother having a romantic life is going to blow her mind. I laughed. Maybe you can help me explain it to her. Oh no, that's all you, Mom. I'm not explaining to my daughter why Grandma is shacking up with her boyfriend. Jessica! What? That's literally what you're doing. We both dissolved into laughter, and it felt good. Normal. Like we'd turned a corner. The house sold in 3 days. For $20,000 over asking price. The buyers were a young family with 2 kids, and I felt good knowing the house would be filled with life and laughter again. Moving day was emotional. As the movers carried out boxes and furniture, I walked through the empty rooms one last time. So many memories. Robert proposing to me in the living room, bringing baby Jessica home to the nursery, family dinners, birthday parties, quiet evenings, reading by the fireplace. Frank found me in the master bedroom, staring at the empty space where our bed had been. You okay? He asked gently. I'm saying goodbye, I said, to this chapter of my life. It was a good chapter, a beautiful one, but it's time to start a new one. He wrapped his arms around me. The new chapter's going to be pretty good, too. I promise. Moving into Frank's house, our house now was surprisingly easy. We'd agreed to combine our favorite pieces of furniture, donate duplicates, and create a space that felt like both of ours. My wingback reading chair fit perfectly by the window in the living room. Frank's grandfather's dining table was ideal for family gatherings. We hung photos of both our families on the walls, Robert and Carol included, their memories honored in our new beginning. "Look at this," Frank said one evening, as we arranged books on the living room shelves. "Your mysteries next to my history books. It's like our books are getting to know each other." "You're ridiculous," I said, but I was smiling. "You love it." "I do," I admitted. "I really do." The first night in our shared home, we lay in bed talking late into the night about our days, our dreams, our plans for the future. Frank's arm was around me, my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "This feels right," I murmured. "Like coming home." "That's because it is home," Frank said. "Not the house. Us. Wherever we are together, that's home." In the darkness, I smiled. Robert had once said something similar, a lifetime ago. But instead of making me sad, the echo felt like a blessing, like both the men I'd loved understood that home wasn't a place. It was the people you chose to share your life with. And I had chosen Frank, just as he'd chosen me. Two people who'd thought their stories were over, discovering that sometimes the best chapters come when you least expect them. Living together brought unexpected joys and small adjustments. Frank's habit of leaving coffee cups around the house drove me slightly crazy. My need to have the kitchen spotless before bed puzzled him. But we learned to compromise, to communicate, to laugh at our differences rather than let them divide us. Michael and Sarah brought the grandkids over every Sunday for dinner, just as they always had. But now I was part of it, helping cook, setting the table, reading bedtime stories when the kids got sleepy. Emma had started calling me Grandma Eleanor, and the first time she did it casually, not as a question, but as a fact. I'd had to excuse myself to the bathroom to cry happy tears. Jessica and her family visited too, initially awkward, but gradually relaxing into the new normal. One Saturday in March, both families came for dinner at the same time. The house was full of noise and laughter, with Madison teaching Emma how to braid hair, while Lucas showed Kyle his elaborate Lego creation. Standing in the kitchen doorway, watching our blended family interact, Frank slipped his arm around my waist. "We did good," he murmured. "We did, didn't we?" "In April," Frank proposed. Not dramatically or publicly, but perfectly on a Thursday after cooking class, in the community center parking lot where we'd first exchanged numbers. "Eleanor Hayes," he said, taking my hand. "I know we've done everything backward, moved in together before getting engaged, blended our families before making it official. But I want to do this right. Will you marry me?" The ring was simple, a single diamond on a gold band, and absolutely perfect. "Yes," I said, tears streaming down my face, 1,000 times yes. We decided on a small ceremony in June at Michael and Sarah's backyard. Just family and close friends. Chef Roberto offered to cater, and Dorothy from cooking class insisted on making the cake. The morning of the wedding, Jessica helped me dress in a simple cream-colored dress, appropriate for a woman of 67, but still beautiful. "You look stunning, Mom," she said, adjusting my necklace. "I'm nervous," I admitted. "Is that silly at my age?" "It's not silly. It's sweet." She hugged me carefully, mindful of my hair and makeup. "I'm so proud of you, for having the courage to start over, for choosing to be happy instead of safe. Your father would have liked Frank, I said. He would have loved him. Because Frank loves you. She pulled back, smiling through tears. Now let's get you married. The ceremony was perfect in its simplicity. Frank and I stood under an arch decorated with roses, surrounded by the people we loved most. Michael stood as his father's best man, while Jessica stood as my maid of honor. Emma and Madison were flower girls, giggling as they scattered petals. When it came time for vows, Frank spoke first, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. Eleanor, I thought I knew what love was. I thought I'd had my chance at happiness, and that was enough. But you taught me that the heart has room for more than one great love. You've given me joy when I thought my days of joy were over. You've given me laughter, partnership, and a future I'm excited to wake up to. I promise to love you, respect you, make you terrible coffee and slightly better dinners, and hold your hand through whatever comes next. For however many years we have, they're yours. I tried not to cry as I said my vows. Frank, you came into my life when I thought I was just going through the motions, waiting for time to pass. You reminded me that life isn't about waiting, it's about living. You've shown me that it's possible to honor the past while embracing the future, to carry old love in your heart while making room for new love. I promise to be your partner, your friend, your sous chef, and your biggest supporter. I promise to laugh at your jokes, even the bad ones, and to remind you where you put your reading glasses. I promise to choose you every day, for all our days. I now pronounce you husband and wife, the officiant said. You may kiss your bride. Frank pulled me close, and we kissed to cheers and applause from our family. When we broke apart, he was grinning. Mrs. Morrison, he said. Mrs. Hayes Morrison, I corrected with a smile. I'm hyphenating. Of course you are. The reception was a joyful blur. We ate Chef Roberto's amazing food, cut Dorothy's beautiful cake, danced to Frank Sinatra in the backyard as the sun set. Emma and Lucas ran around with sparklers. Madison gave a surprisingly touching toast about how love doesn't have age limits. Jessica cried happy tears. Michael pulled me aside and told me how grateful he was that his father had found me. He was so lonely after Mom died, Michael said. I worried about him. But you've given him his life back. Thank you for that. As evening turned to night and guests began to leave, Frank and I sat together on the porch swing, his arm around me, watching fireflies dance across the yard. So, he said, how does it feel to be married again? Different than the first time, I admitted, but just as wonderful. Maybe more wonderful, because I appreciate it more now. I know how precious this is. We should take a trip, Frank said suddenly. A honeymoon. Where do you want to go? I thought about it. Somewhere neither of us has been. Somewhere we can explore together and make new memories. How about Maine? I've always wanted to see Acadia National Park. Maine sounds perfect. We left for our trip the following week, 5 days exploring the rocky coast of Maine, eating lobster, hiking through forests, staying in a charming bed and breakfast where the owner treated us like newlyweds, never mind that we were both pushing 70. On our last evening, we sat on the beach watching the sunset. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, reflecting off the water. I have something to tell you, Frank said. Something I've been thinking about. I turned to look at him, concerned by his serious tone. What is it? I want to make it official, legally official. Update my will, make you my medical power of attorney, beneficiary on everything. I want us to be fully, completely legally bound together. Not just married, but partners in every sense. Frank, are you sure? That's a big step. What about Michael? Michael and I already talked about it. He's the one who suggested it, actually. Said it was important that you're protected if anything happens to me, that you should have full rights to make decisions, to be taken care of. I was quiet for a moment, watching the waves roll in. I should do the same. Make you my medical power of attorney. Update my will. Jessica will understand. Are you sure? Absolutely. We're a family now, Frank. We should take care of each other properly. We spent the next month working with lawyers, updating documents, making everything legal and official. Jessica and Michael both supported the decisions, understanding that this was about protecting their parents, not cutting them out. Summer turned to fall. Frank and I settled into married life with surprising ease. Thursday cooking classes continued. Now we arrived together, worked together, and left together. Our skills had improved so much that Chef Roberto started joking we should open our own restaurant. At our age? Frank laughed. I think we'll stick to cooking for family. But we did start hosting regular dinner parties, inviting both families, friends from the community center, neighbors. Our home became a gathering place, filled with warmth and laughter and the smells of good food. One evening in October, almost exactly a year after we'd first met, Frank and I sat on our porch, watching the leaves change colors. You know what I realized today? Frank said. What's that? I'm not just happy. I'm content. Do you know how rare that is? To be genuinely content with your life? I squeezed his hand. I do know. I feel it too. When Carol died, I thought contentment was over for me. I thought I'd spend the rest of my life missing her, being half a person. And I do miss her, I always will. But you've made me whole again. Different than before, but whole. That's exactly how I feel about Robert. Like I can honor who he was and what we had while still building this new life with you. They're not in competition. They're both part of my story. Our story now, Frank corrected. The story we're writing together. That night, lying in bed, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. From that first nervous morning at the community center to this moment married, content, surrounded by family and love. I'd learned that life doesn't end when we think it does. That happiness can find us in unexpected places at unexpected times. That it's never too late to start over, to take a chance, to open your heart to possibility. I'd learned that growing old doesn't mean giving up on life, it means appreciating it more deeply, loving more intentionally, choosing joy even when it's scary. Most of all, I'd learned that we're never too old for new beginnings. The heart doesn't retire. Love doesn't have an expiration date. And sometimes, the best chapters of our lives are the ones we never saw coming. Hey, Frank murmured in the darkness. What are you thinking about? Us, I said. This life we've built. How grateful I am. Me too. He pulled me closer. Me too. As I drifted off to sleep, I felt at peace. Not because everything was perfect, it wasn't. We'd both had losses. Both carried scars. Both knew that our time together was finite in ways young love never acknowledges. But we were here, now, together, making the most of every day, every moment, every shared smile and inside joke and quiet evening on the porch. And that, I'd learned, was more than enough. It was everything